Welcome to the ABAP strategy session. My name is Boris Gebhardt, Chief Product Owner of the SAP ABAP platform. Today, the ABAP strategy session will be a little bit different compared to last year, since I will focus on ERP extensibility and especially on S/4HANA extensibility. But before we come to that, first let's have a look how S/4HANA fits into the intelligent enterprise vision. You see here on that picture different layers. Let's start with the lowest level infrastructure. In the cloud, you can choose between SAP data centers or hyperscalers. On top, you see technology. We provide the business technology platform, which includes a lot of technology services. And it includes, of course, the different environments, ABAP, Java, or Node, so that you can build extensions. And then we have the actual applications, so Intelligent Suite, which is mainly S/4HANA, available in the cloud and on-premise. And that is extended by the industry cloud, providing the different flavors and functionalities which are needed for the different industries. Of course, all the SAP applications which you see here get infused artificial intelligence to optimize business processes and to include everything then afterwards in the business network. Good. After seeing that, now let's go to the main topic today, and that is extensibility in the ERP area. And of course, we focus on S/4HANA. I think we all know, if we just look at the experience which we have made during the last decades with SAP, ERPs like Business Suite, ECC, and now S/4HANA, that on-premise extensibility is a key factor for the success of an ERP. SAP delivers standard software, but of course, for the different country versions, for different industries, for special use cases of the customer, or if a customer search for a competitive advantage concerning business processes, you have to extend the standard provided by SAP. And that will not change in the cloud. A cloud ERP, of course, is more standardized. Hopefully, will not need all the extensibility which we have on premise, but a cloud ERP needs rich and flexible extensibility as well. There's no doubt. And therefore, I think that leads now directly to the agenda. Therefore, it's really essential that we focus on extensibility. And first, we will check out the extensibility in S/4HANA, how it is today, what are the benefits, what is good, what could be better, what are the gaps. And that will lead us then to the ERP extensibility, how we imagine it for tomorrow. So how do we fill the gaps? How will we evolve our extensibility to more or less show the benefits in the cloud and on-premise? Good. First, let's check out the extensibility of today. And here, we have first start with on-premise. And I think it's fair to say that if you check standard on-premise, SAP, ERP systems, Business Suite, ECC, and S/4HANA on-premise, then for most of the customers, the freestyle custom ABAP development is the standard way how to extend the ERP. And freestyle means SAP delivers the SAP code, the ABAP code for the applications to customers. Customers can look at the code, they can copy the code, they can include the code, they can use all SAP objects, so call a function module, select data from an SAP table in their extension, as you see it here on the screenshot, select single on table Mara. Or if even that is not good enough, you can use the modification assistant to really change the SAP code. So it's incredibly flexible because and rich because SAP does not have any restrictions concerning extensibility. Everything is allowed more or less. This made it extremely powerful to extend the SAP software because you could do whatever you want. The drawback has always been, since everything is allowed and no restrictions were in place, that when SAP changed the software, that afterwards, since there was no interface between SAP code and the extension, all the extensions must be checked, perhaps adapted, so that an upgrade of SAP software can get really challenging, and a lot of effort is involved in that project. In the cloud, and now I speak about SAP S/4HANA Public Cloud, this freestyle custom ABAP coding can't work, because SAP wants the S/4HANA cloud service. SAP is responsible for the service, and SAP updates the SAP software in that service to get a new version in. And this is done, of course, in an automated and standardized way. That means all customers of S/4HANA Cloud get a new version in the same time frame and in a standardized way. There is no customer-specific upgrade project or something like that in the cloud. To achieve that, the changes which come into the system via the SAP update must not have any effect on the extensions. Otherwise, you would need these upgrade projects, these customer-specific projects. So to achieve that, so we can change the SAP code without harming the extensions, you need a very clear interface between the SAP code and the extension. And therefore, new rules concerning extensibility are valid in the cloud. First one, you are no longer allowed to do SAP modifications, so you can't change the SAP code anymore. And second, you have to use the public interface objects of SAP. That means SAP releases explicitly certain ABAP development objects like a class, a CDS view, or something like that. Those objects will be kept compatible and stable by SAP, and you as a customer can use in your extensions only those objects, not everything as before. And that then leads to the possibility to do these cloud upgrades in an automated way. So these are the main rules you always have to keep in mind. In the cloud, no modifications, only public APIs can be used in the extensions. Portfolio-wise, so what do we provide currently in S/4HANA Public Cloud concerning extensibility? We have, first of all, on the left side, in-app extensibility. That means you want to build a really tightly coupled extension, which is part of a Fiori app or which is part of a process of or a logical unit of work of SAP. Examples are you want to add a field to a Fiori app, you want to add a certain check in the process, you want to build an application which is sitting on top of the data of S4 which you don't want to replicate. So you really want to run this extension in or on S/4HANA Cloud. Side by side is the other option. That's, of course, our business technology platform. That these are loosely coupled extensions which run side by side to the S/4HANA Public Cloud. And we have the options ABAP, Java, and Node here to build these extensions. You use this for big extensions, for partner solutions, whenever you want to be separated from the ERP because perhaps you have different users who access the extension, and they're not normally the users which you have in your ERP system, or perhaps you have a different speed of innovation in your extension, or different SLAs, different data centers. Perhaps you are a partner and want to operate your SaaS solution on your own. Okay, now let's dig a little bit deeper concerning these two options, key user and BTP. On the left side, we have this key user extensibility. What does this mean? Key user extensibility, first of all, that's not development. Normally, a business user, not a developer, uses key user extensibility. She or he uses low-code, no-code tools, not an ABAP IDE or something like that. And the idea is to do more or less extensions and adaptations to existing SAP Fiori apps or processes. One example is on the right side, field extensibility, meaning you want to add a field to a Fiori application, perhaps to a business partner, and that field shall not only be available on the screen, but in the complete application. So on the ABAP code, it shall be working, plus the field shall be added to the database table as well. That is an example. Or to give you an overview about the other options which you have with key user tools, here you see some examples, some screenshots. The upper left, you see the UI changes, so moving around fields or changing the position of a field or adding a new field. Or we have these custom fields, which allow you to not only to add a field to the screen, but to the complete application. Then we have custom business logic, allowing you to add some lines of code, an additional check, for example, in a prepared extension point. or on the bottom left, custom business objects allow you to add a screen to an existing Fiori app. Just some examples. But you always see that's not an ABAP IDE. These are no-code tools, Fiori apps, which allow you to configure and extend existing applications. You can't do big development projects using these tools. If you want to do a really big development projects, partner solutions, something like that in the cloud, in S/4HANA Cloud, then you do this side by side on the SAP Business Technology Platform. And here you can choose the environment, ABAP, Java, or Node. Since this now the ABAP strategy session, I focus here on the ABAP environment in BTP, and the code name has always been Steampunk. You see on the left side S/4HANA Cloud, and side by side on the right side our SAP Business Technology Platform, the ABAP environment. And that's Steampunk. And Steampunk is the ABAP platform provided as a service. And that means we means SAP, operate this ABAP environment in the cloud for you. So you subscribe to the ABAP environment, and we are responsible to operate this ABAP environment, update the ABAP environment quarterly, update SAP HANA, and so on. So that's a cloud service, and we learned already in a cloud service, there are certain extensibility rules. No modifications, only use public APIs. And you see that on that picture here, the green box, public interface. So we defined in Steampunk a public interface of the ABAP platform. So which of the basis objects can be used in extensions. The extensions can be seen in this green box on the right side. And this public interface of the ABAP platform contains, for example, classes to manage jobs, to manage number ranges, change documents. So all the basis services which you know. And you have to use those APIs. You can't use the old function modules. You have to use these classes, these APIs, which we provide in the public interface. Additionally, we restricted the ABAP language so that ABAP statements which may harm our operations, like accessing the operating system from your extension, from the ABAP code, or accessing the file systems, are no longer allowed. So that's the restricted ABAP version. Plus, we restricted the available technologies and programming models which we have in our ABAP platform. We restrict to the cloud-ready stateless programming models, which are the ABAP RESTful programming model or HTTP services. So you can build Fiori apps and APIs and services in Steampunk, but you can't develop Dympro-based or WebDympro-based applications. And you use the ABAP development tools to develop the application, no SE80, and of course the Business Application Studio, Visual Studio for the UI parts. Whenever you want to access ERP data, you have to call remote APIs because that's a side-by-side solution. That means you have to call a remote S/4HANA API, for example, to retrieve the business partners or materials, or to create a sales order or something like that. Good. After seeing that, key user, BTP, and in the ABAP area, it's Steampunk. Now let's check the pros and cons. So good is that we have now as S/4HANA Public Cloud real upgrade stable and cloud-ready extensibility options, all focusing on the public interface, and the cloud rules for extensibility are in place. The con is, or bad is, that currently the richness and the flexibility of these options can't be compared what we have on-premise. Especially, so what are the drawbacks? First of all, only public APIs can be used. That means if you build an extensions, the API must be available. Otherwise, you can't build the extension. And therefore, SAP currently invests heavily to provide more and more of these public APIs and extension points so that you, for example, can implement a body. This will happen. Second is more strategic issue. On the left side, we have only key user extensibility. If you want to build or develop a bigger application, a bigger extension, which really is tightly coupled, which can't be done side by side, then there's a gap. Because the developer role is not supported for tightly coupled extensions. And that's exactly leads me now to ERP extensibility tomorrow, where we want to close that gap. So the idea is, okay, we have now on the right side established a new custom ABAP development model on steampunk with all the restrictions I explained. Public APIs only, no modifications, restricted ABAP language version, and so on. Why not reusing that new way how to develop custom ABAP code in S/4HANA Cloud? So do not provide it only side by side, provide it in S/4HANA Cloud as well. And that's exactly what we want to do. A lab preview here now, we plan to provide the steampunk development model, this cloud-ready upgrade, stable custom ABAP development in S/4HANA Cloud as well. And the nickname or code name for that is embedded steampunk. And that will allow you to build custom ABAP code in S/4HANA Cloud. Very important, this is not a replacement of the other options. It just extends the options you have if you build cloud-ready extensions. So the key user extensibility is absolutely essential for business users. BTP is absolutely the right choice for loosely coupled extensions, big partner solutions, bigger extensions. And now we add for tightly coupled development projects embedded steampunk. If you have a deeper look in this future innovation, our ABAP environment in S/4HANA Cloud or embedded steampunk, then you see the following picture. So we have here our S/4HANA Cloud system. And in the upper right part, you see now an extension which has been built with embedded steampunk, the blue part. Very essential. Again, the rules which I explained are in place. You can only use the public interface of the ABAP platform, which are identical, by the way, to the steampunk public interface. So all the classes for number range, change documents, which I explained. You use the same development model as in BTP, as in steampunk. So you build RESTful application programming model application, web-based applications. And additionally, and that's new, not available in steampunk BTP, you now can use local APIs of our S/4HANA colleagues. So the finance, procure, sales colleagues now release or have released extension points, CDS views, or APIs to create a sales order, something like that. Local APIs, not remote APIs. The remote APIs we have already for steampunk BTP. Here we need local APIs so that you can directly, for example, run a select on a CDS view. So if you now check how this would feel, this embedded steampunk would feel for an ABAP developer, the reaction would be, okay, I log on with my ABAP development tools to S/4HANA public cloud. I can create a set class or whatsoever. The complete development model feels like on steampunk BTP. But now I'm in the system. Now I can start implementing a sales and distribution body. Now I can do a select on application data. So the perfect match for tightly coupled extensions. And since code always is the best way to convince developers and to show what we are actually want to present, here again, lab preview, a screenshot how this will look like for developer when he uses embedded steampunk. As explained, you log on with ABAP development tools to the S/4HANA public cloud. Then you develop, as an example here, a very simple set class. Of course, you can use all the tools of the ABAP development tools. So ABAP Test Cockpit, you transport your ABAP stuff, you have the profiler, coverage analyzer, ABAP unit, all that is available as you know it from steampunk BTP. You use the language version, the restricted language version, the cloud ABAP, so that only cloud-ready ABAP statements can be used. Additionally, now, if you try to access APIs, old function modules or something like that, or if you try, for example, to do a select directly on a database table of SAP, in this example, Mara, then you see a syntax error because, of course, the function module pop-up to confirm hasn't been released because it's a Dynpro-based function module, doesn't make any sense in this environment. And Mara is a database table of SAP concerning the products and materials. And the rule is you shall always use the CDS view, not directly access the database table. Therefore, you get a syntax error, which you can't correct easily. So syntax error, you can't do that. You have to change the code and you have to use the public APIs. And for example, an easy correction for that, and that means the select on Mara would be use the appropriate CDS view, which is iProduct. That's the CDS view which sits on top of Mara. And as you can see, I don't call a remote API here in embedded steampunk to retrieve the products. I do a simple select on the CDS view to retrieve the product. So because that is always a question which we get. Embedded steampunk really means you build custom code in the S/4HANA stack. You can really run a select on the materials here. What about modifications in embedded steampunk? So if you display the classic sales and distribution module pool and try to modify a user exit, then you will get an error that this is not allowed. And what you have to do is you have to find the corresponding body in the sales and distribution area and then implement the body in order to change the process flow. Good. That leads me to summary. What we plan with the S/4HANA Cloud ABAP environment, code name Embedded Steampunk. So Embedded Steampunk use the same cloud-ready upgrade stable development model as you know it from Steampunk BTP. The same rules are in place, no modifications, only public APIs, and the restricted ABAP language, and you build your ABAP RESTful programming model for your applications or your web APIs, use ABAP development tools for development of the ABAP code, and the Business Application Studio or Visual Studio for the UI part. The new thing is that additional to the public interface of the ABAP platform with the technical public APIs, you now get local public APIs of our S/4HANA colleagues from Finance, Procure, Produce, which you can use in your custom code. Good. That leads me to the outlook and the timeline. We learned now that we plan to extend the portfolio concerning extensibility in S/4HANA Public Cloud. We now provide custom development in S/4HANA Cloud with embedded steampunk. But we all know on-premise customers, S/4HANA on-premise customers and private edition customers of S/4HANA, of course, would like to have easy, smooth upgrades as well. And therefore, what we plan is to offer the embedded steampunk custom ABAP development model, this upgrade stable cloud-ready development model in on-premise and in the private edition as well. Meaning we provide the possibility to switch on explicitly for certain ABAP objects that the strict cloud language is checked. And additionally, we want to provide the public APIs of the ABAP platform and S/4HANA in on-premise and the private edition as well. Of course, here in private edition and on-premise, this is an additional option. You can go on with freestyle custom ABAP coding, but perhaps for a new development project, for a new extensibility project, you want to go for the upgrade stable cloud ready variant to make next upgrades for these extensions easier, plus to make it easier if you go for public cloud to transform your extensions. Good. All this will lead then to the following target picture. Target picture means that these are the options for extensibility which you want to go for. And these options shall be valid for all S/4HANA editions, on-premise, private edition, and public cloud. And the options are then key user extensibility for the business user, custom ABAP development on stack, so in the S/4HANA stack using embedded steampunk, our ABAP environment in S/4HANA cloud, and for side-by-side extensions, loosely coupled extensions, partner solutions, BTP. And all those options are upgrade stable and cloud ready, and many extensibility projects will combine these options so that the perfect solution can be developed. First timeline. Today you can use key user extensibility and BTP. In the course of this year, the first early adopter customers will get their hands on embedded steampunk. And next year, we plan to provide embedded steampunk in on-premise as well, again, for the first customers, first version. The idea behind that is embedded steampunk only makes sense if you have a convenient number of APIs. We started this year to build for the cloud the first APIs. Those will be provided in on-premise with the next on-premise release in S4HANA. And then it makes sense to start with embedded steampunk projects in on-premise or in the private edition as well. Good, that leads me to the summary. So S4HANA Cloud is the strategic cloud ERP of SAP. With the key user tools which we provide, you can, as a business user, easily extend SAP Fiori applications or processes. SAP Business Technology Platform provides you the option to build loosely coupled extensions with Java, Node, or ABAP. The ABAP environment, Steampunk, provides you the ABAP platform as a service and allows partners and customers to build multi-tenant extensions. We want now to reuse our cloud-ready and upgrade-stable custom ABAP development, which we have established in Steampunk in S4HANA Cloud with the embedded steampunk project. And this will allow customers to build custom ABAP development directly in S4HANA Cloud. And since that is really nice and really helps S4HANA Cloud and provides for the first time an upgrade stable and cloud-ready custom ABAP development model, we want to reuse that in on-premise and in private edition as well, in the same way with the same technique, so that then customers in these editions will benefit from all these extensibility options as well. Good. That leads me to the learning offerings from the SAP TechEd. Please use all the offerings which we provide, the sessions in the ABAP area about the RESTful programming model and all the different sources which are displayed here, so that you are always up to date concerning all the new stuff which we provide in the ABAP area and all the other BTP and S4 areas. Thank you very much, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure you will enjoy the embedded steampunk and steampunk world as well.